new questions today about Kamala's campaign money and whether or not donors may have been misled. And do they have any kind of legal recourse? I mean, can you do that? You know, if I were her, I'm just saying, she's out with this little new videotape, which is super embarrassing. And, you know, there's been a lot of fun within the AI world because they're making her look even worse than she is. But you don't even have to make her look worse. She's just that bad. She's out there, tone deaf, again, bragging about how she raised so much money, $1.5 billion, the most ever.
Dollars to fuel our people-powered campaign. And understand that the work that we did included the work that so many of you here did, which is to talk to first-time voters. Many of you are first-time voters. And to talk about...
Okay. So that's like, thank you. We made history because we raised $1.4 billion, the most money anybody's raised in a campaign. And you failed. You got nothing to show for it. I mean, can you imagine if she was actually running the federal government? Well, I mean, she had a role in that for the last 4 years and we got nothing to show for it now, do we? So this was her sort of pep talk. She's dressed in like brown. Kind of feels a little communist. I mean, I am in tan today, but it's in honor of Thanksgiving. Anyway, here's the UPS brown suit with Kamala Harris.
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
I mean, they really let her do it. They let her do that. They let her run for president, number one. And they just, knowing that the entire party feels a little deflated right about now, because apparently Hitler won, they let her come out with that video. So the internet's having a field day. In some cases, they've slowed down the words even more, so it sounds like she's really had a tough night. I think I've seen some with a bottle of scotch in her hand. I mean, it's pretty funny. They're having a good time with it. But I think the reality is this. That's not going to cheer anyone up. That is not a like, rah, 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 let's go get him speech. She's been off in Hawaii on vacation because Lord knows she needed a vacation from that campaign that must have taken so much out of her, even though she hardly did any rallies, and would be holed up for days at a time. Doing what? We don't know. At one point I speculated, I thought she was making commercials because, well, they came out with a commercial or two. I mean, it was really weird. Like, what is she doing? And when people were asked, the comment we got back was, we're asking this, we heard, well, she's the vice president and she's running a campaign. So that's why you never see her. Look, the people over on MSNBC right now are so out of it. They're so out of it. Joy Reid, why do I get them mixed up? All these joyless people around. Anyway, Joy Reid runs a show there on MSNBC. And according to her guest, Kamala is the best thing the Democrats have. So get ready. She's going to run again in 2028. To which I say, bring it on.
The most sense. What's interesting is Harris is more popular now than she was before she ran for president. That's not something that typically happens. And when you talk to Democrats, not many of them are blaming her for the loss, right? They know that it was 107 days, and they nitpick about some of the other things, but it wasn't her as a candidate that they weren't impressed by. And so when you look at 2028 and the names that are kind of bounced around, she has the biggest name ID of any of them for obvious reasons. California governor, also on the table. She's wanted that job for a long time. It would be the most power that she's had in elected office. But there is the sense around some of her allies and aides that it might be a step back, right? Publicly, right? Her as vice president, almost being president, and then going back to be governor of a state. And that's one of the things that they're tussling with right now.
And this is why your network is being spun off and its parent Comcast wants nothing to do with MSNBC. This is why you might get bought by your nemesis, one Elon Musk. I mean, the stupidity, and they're just trying to sell you more and more lies. Here's what's amazing, guys, and this is why I ask about the money. We're talking $1.4 billion. Apparently, they still haven't even paid all the vendors, to the point where Donald Trump is like, well, you know what? In the spirit of unity, maybe I can help out because we didn't actually spend that much money on the Republican side. We have more left over because we did something called free media. In other words, we didn't pay all our TikTokers to give us endorsements, which is what Kamala's camp did, not to mention not just TikTokers. You had Oprah Winfrey, according to the New York Times, getting $2.5 million. Now, she has denied this, but according to an investigation by Washington Examiner, there were payments to her production company for $500,000 each times two. So that was $1 million right ahead of that big streaming event that, honestly, you know what? We get more viewers. We get more on this little show, and I'm not running for president, and I'm not Oprah Winfrey. We're getting more viewers than she did in her first, 4 hours out of the gate. It was amazing with Oprah Winfrey. But here's the deal. This is what I think we all kind of knew all along, because I'd look at these polls and you guys would look at them with me and we're all like, how is she even at 50%? Like, how are these even close? Like, what's going on? Somebody ought to examine these pollsters. Rasmussen loves it, right? Because they're like, see, we were right all along. Of course, they weren't even as right as they could have been, because this was, if you ask me, one giant landslide. This was a referendum on the horror that we've been experiencing for the last 4 years. So this is a headline in the New York Post today. Harris camp's own polling never showed the vice president leading Trump, team, quote, surprised by reports showing her ahead. This is according to the top advisor. So this is apparently, David Plouffe saying, yeah, they never, ever really stood a shot. And I'm just amazed by that, because I'm pretty sure I remember him going on to all the news networks, CNN being one in particular, where he said, yeah, we're going to win. We're going to win. We got this thing locked down. Is that because they needed money? This was about, the 1.4 billion. They needed to keep just hoarding money and they wanted to give false hope. I don't know, but I found this little clip. I remember this just like 2 days before the election.
How we think undecideds are breaking. We have a credible pathway to all 7 states tomorrow night to go into Kamala Harris's column, but we believe they're all going to be close.
Right. But you think you could win all 7?
Yes.
Oh, he could win all 7. Those swing states, those battleground states, they were totally winnable. I mean, they call them the blue wall for a reason, right? So there were all those battleground swing states. That was him just, 48 hours before the election? And now he's out singing a totally different tune, saying those states aren't winnable at all. I mean, look, the blue wall was named the blue wall for a reason. How can you say that they were never that winnable? David Plouffe, some advisor you are.
It's always worth reminding people, it's really hard for Democrats to win battleground states. Let's look at Pennsylvania. 25% of the electorate is liberal, roughly. 34% is conservative. By the way, in most battleground states, that conservative number is over 40. So in every battleground state, there's more conservative than liberals. So in Pennsylvania, if Exeter to believe, Trump won conservatives 91-8, Harris won liberals 93-6. Moderates, Harris won 56-43, but you kind of got to win 60% of them. Right? For Democrats,
he goes on to say the math doesn't
states,
line up and there's some profanity involved. So I'm getting out early. But the point being that they now think it's impossible to win blue states. Like, these states have been historically blue. And you know why? I'll tell you why it's impossible for them now. Because Donald Trump has just turned blue and red on its head. Think about it. The elites that used to be seen as conservatives, Republicans, the Democrats were the working class, and somehow everything got inverted, and Donald Trump's out there fighting for the working class, and the Dems, all they care about is their DEI nonsense, and their anti-Israel nonsense, and their open borders nonsense, and let's just give out handouts like they were doing up until a couple of weeks ago in New York City. Free food, free little credit cards so that you could go in and buy $350 worth of food every single week, plus a 6-7 month hotel stay with daily maid service. I mean, this is not the party of working America. This is the party of Hollywood elites. This is the party of business elites that are clearly clueless and forgot how they got there. And so all of this has shifted in real time, and it's sort of fascinating to watch. So now David Plouffe, he's up a creek without a paddle because he ran the Obama campaign. He was the senior advisor to Kamala. I think he had a big hand, along with maybe David Axelrod. The Davids at work, they're getting Kamala into the seat, and then they realize they got themselves a bum candidate, a totally bum candidate, because they don't understand what matters anymore. Now, do they? I mean, they just don't understand. You know who gets it? Carville. They should have gotten Carville involved way earlier on, because he's a Democrat from, yes, your father's Democrat Party that still understands what matters to the working class. And it's not all this CRAP that the 22 and 23-year-olds on the Kamala campaign thought were relevant. I mean, she didn't even go to the Al Smith dinner. The Al Smith dinner is like an institution. It's a Catholic charity. Everyone does it in the city of New York. Everyone goes, both sides. The only other candidate that didn't go was Walter Mondale. And you know how that one ended. Thank you very much. I mean, it's like Reagan all over again. Here's the Raging Cajun, as my former colleague Jesse Waters likes to call him.
The Raging Cajun's frothing at the mouth like a rabid raccoon. He's letting the Kamala campaign have it for appeasing woke millennial interns. Watch.
Not only am I not interested in your opinion, I'm not even going to call you by your name. You're 23 years old. I don't really give a what you think. And let me tell you another huge error this way, is when people said campaigns need to reflect progressive values. No, they don't. No, they don't. If I were running a 2028 campaign and I had some little snot-nosed 23-year-old saying, I'm going to resign if you don't do this, not only would I fire that motherfucker on the spot, I would find out who hired them and fire that person on the spot. I'm really not interested in your uninformed, stupid jack opinion.
Democrats got lucky with the pandemic.
That's great. That's great. Maybe Trump needs to recruit him. Like, look, he gets it, right? These jack that we totally didn't on the Kamala campaign. It's wild to me. Like, sometimes I'm like, am I living in some kind of alternative universe? I mean, I've always been right of center, but I wouldn't think I was extreme right. But apparently I am, because, you know, I don't think you should debate what gender you are. I don't think we have 250 some odd genders, as the BBC would like to tell us. I don't think that this should even be a topic of conversation. I'm sorry. You know what, Leah Thomas? Get your own lane. Like, and suddenly I'm the crazy one. I'm the one who's somehow alt-right. This is nuts. And so James Carville, he gets it. All of America gets it. And by the way, the kids get it. The kids get it because they are watching alternative media, not the mainstream media. Little plug for the shop if you're doing your Christmas shopping this weekend. Go check out trishregan.shop, trishregan.shop. You can get your Live Free or Die mug, drink your coffee every morning, knowing that you're celebrating freedom, you're helping the show. trishregan.shop today.